scenario is you guys will go where the money is. So that's got nothing to do with the conversation you're going to have tomorrow, because if the Saudis don't pony up the money and the dates that you want to fight on, you're going to end up in Wembley. I'm assuming you've done your deal between the two fighters of distribution. So it's, without being disrespectful, isn't it a slightly moot conversation tomorrow evening, given that ultimately you're just waiting to be told whether you can fight in Saudi or backstopping in Wembley, aren't you?
No, there's a couple other things that, which I don't want to go into at the moment, Simon, because I need to sit down and do this face to face with him. So I don't want to compromise the negotiations tomorrow. But there's a few more hurdles to be for both sides to get over. But I mean,
well, they're not insurmountable hurdles, are they?
They're not. No, not at all. I don't believe so.
And the big scenario, the defining scenario, is location, isn't it, rather than anything else, isn't it?
It's location. Yeah, that's the main.
So tomorrow evening, I'm in one of the executive boxes. If I pop up like a demountable hurdles, are they?
They're not. No, not at all. I don't believe so.
And the big scenario, the defining scenario, is location, isn't it, rather than anything else, isn't it?
It's location. Yeah, that's the main situation.
So tomorrow, and the big scenario, the defining scenario, is location, isn't it, rather than anything else, isn't it?
It's location. Yeah, that's the main.
So tomorrow evening, I'm in one of the executive boxes.
What's good, family? It's your man, the YB, back once again. Big shout out to my doggy. Oops, my doggy not on the screen right now, but whoever doggy it was. Big shout out to that cat still, 100%. Hiten Patel, I think it was, 100%. Anyway, we just heard there from Frank Kappen. Yeah, Mr. Frank Kappen. He stay capping. This goober here. Listen. Cornballs. This whole shtick cornball. Yeah? You've seen the title. Team Fury let slip the real reason they've cancelled the fight. Now, if you were to take what they've just said as the baseline, Frank Warren just said, oh yeah, the main thing's the location. What? Are we having a laugh here? And if you actually look into how it was almost like an alley-oop, yeah? If you actually look into how Simon Jordan, supposed to be a big dog, big businessman with low IQ questions, it was not open-ended, it was a close-ended question. Rather than question Frank Warren, Frank, what is the number one issue holding up this fight? That's what any level of journalist, or not even journalist, because I'm sure Simon Jordan would say, oh, I'm a big business, I'm a big dog in business, nothing to do with, listen, whatever you are, anyone with IQ, you don't ask a question with an answer built into it. You just ask the question, Frank, what's the number one thing holding this fight up right now? That's what should have been asked. Instead, Simon Jordan said, oh, Frank, it's the location, isn't it, holding this fight up? That's the only big hurdle there is. Who said that? What? Location? And obviously, at that point, since Simon Jordan set him up, Frank Warren jumped all over it. Oh, yeah, it's definitely the location. Oh, who believes that? Who here believes that everything's sorted out and they're bickering? I haven't even heard that. Like, where? That's what I'm saying. Where did they find these guys at? I bet a few minutes ago you thought, YB, why are you... I know these guys are a little bit corny, but why are these guys cornballs? Now you know why. Location? Who? Listen, we follow the boxing news, yeah? Put your hand up if you've heard there's location issues. Oh, I've never heard no problems about no location. Location issues for me sound something like, ooh, Alexander USYK is refusing to fight in Saudi. Or Tyson Fury is refusing to fight in Wembley. That's location issues. We've had it before, historically speaking. Canelo doesn't want to come here. You know what I'm saying? We know that. We know what typical location issues sound like. He wants to fight somewhere and he doesn't want to fight somewhere. That's a location issue. What? And that's what I mean. Listening to how Frank Warren jumped all over it. Oh yeah, it's just location. He couldn't believe not how lucky, well he was lucky, but he couldn't believe his luck. Oh my God, I'm on an international radio show, and the guy has just essentially given me a way out. Oh, it's the location. That's why the fight hasn't happened. Yeah, location issues. He couldn't believe his luck. Just listen to the guy. I've got to replay it because unless you hear it, you don't believe it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, which I don't want to go into at the moment, Simon, because I need to
tell whether you can fight in Saudi or backstopping in Wembley, aren't you?
No, there's a couple other things that which I don't want to go into at the moment, Simon, because I need to sit down and do this face to face with him. So I don't want to compromise the negotiations tomorrow. But there's a few more hurdles to be for both sides to get over. But I mean,
well, they're not insurmountable hurdles, are they?
They're not. No, not at all. I don't believe so.
And the big scenario, the defining scenario, is location, isn't it, rather than anything else, isn't it?
It's location. It's location. Yeah, that's the main situation.
So tomorrow evening,
It's location. Yeah. And if you actually listen, Frank Warren goes, yeah. It's again, he can't believe his it's location. And if you actually listen carefully to what Frank Warren said seconds before that, Frank Warren said, not the fight's done, not we've all signed and it's all booked in. Frank Warren said, we're meeting tomorrow and we've got some hurdles to overcome. It's that clown Simon Jordan who then says, oh, there's nothing insurmountable, though, is there? Again, Frank Warren jumps on it. Oh, no, of course not. Of course. Let's be real here. These are all close-ended questions. Simon Jordan says, oh, they're not big issues, are they? Oh, wait, let's do a bit of thinking here, Mr. Simon Jordan, Mr. Big Businessman, big $1 million businessman. What person in the history of interviews answers a question like, there's not any big issues, is there? Honestly, what was the probability that Frank Warren was going to say, yeah, Simon, there's huge issues we've got. That's why the fight hasn't been signed for 5 months. Frank Warren ain't never going to say that. What we can deduce, and that's anyone with IQ would know, wait a minute, Tyson Fury has been finished fighting since December 3rd. That's 3 months. Yeah? So where are we getting no insurmountable issues from? The fact that we've been negotiating for 3-4 months, that tells me there probably is some insurmountable issues. If anything, that's what the narrative should be. Frank Warren, you've had 3 months. Again, also bear in mind, it's not like we haven't heard enough from people. Frank Warren's been telling us since the middle of December, the fight's signed. The final contract's in the post. Innit? Let's be real now. It's nearly done. Final finish line. Right at the finishing hurdle. Frank Warren's been telling us we're at the finishing hurdle for the last 3 months. So all the information shows that there is some sort of insurmountable issues. All the information shows there's absolutely nothing to do with location being the issue. And yet, Simon Jordan, there's no big problems, are there, Frank? Oh, no, there is. Of course not, Simon. Oh, Frank, and the only problem, Frank, there's no big problems, is there? No, there's no big problems, Simon. But if there was a problem, it's only location anyway. Oh, yeah, it's location. What the fuck? Who does that? Who actually operates like this? From this interview, the public get absolutely nothing from it. And that's why Frank Warren, I mean, when you think about it, I wouldn't mind, but it makes sense now why Frank Warren's desperate to jump on TalkSport. Because guess what? When Eddie Hearn comes on, Simon Jordan, his lipstick is out. He has a proper hard-on for Eddie Hearn. And I don't care. I could care less about Eddie. What I could care about is the quality of the information. But you best believe, when Eddie Hearn comes on, Simon Jordan's got all of his questions. It's all scripted out, you know what I mean? It's all proper on point. Frank Warren comes on, and rather than actually do your job as an interviewer, ask questions, Simon Jordan's answering his own questions. It's only location problems, isn't it? Who told you that? Seriously. And I don't even mind so much people answering questions if they know them, if that makes sense. Like, for example, let's say we all knew that location was the main issue. I get that. Tyson Fury's been wanting it in the UK, and USYK wants it in Ukraine. We know it's a location issue. Yeah, let's go for it. You know what I mean? But no one's mentioned location. Now, what people, I'm sure there'll be some Fury fans. YB, it is location because it's Saudi versus Wembley. Saudi versus Wembley. Wembley is not a location issue. The location is irrelevant. What the underlying issue is to do with what? Not location. It's the money. Simon Jordan, location is literally completely irrelevant. Where does an issue, just because it's almost like any given anything, there'll always be other factors. So Saudi is offering 100 million, Wembley's offering 20 million. Let's just make it simple. The fact that the numbers, or what I'm saying is, there's different variables. But the Saudi variable, or the Saudi deal as such, the problem with the Saudi deal and the problem with the Wembley deal isn't to do with the fact it's in Wembley or in Saudi. It's to do with the money. You're barking at the wrong tree. about it's a location issue. It's a money issue, and we all know that. Yeah? And in fact, you've seen the title of the video. Where we're going with this is, the real underlying issue is, and you heard there from Frank, if you listen carefully, Frank says, oh, we've got some things we need to... That's why they're meeting. Tomorrow they're meeting Frank Warren and USYK, yeah? Frank Warren clearly says we've got things to go over. And I guarantee you, none of them things have anything to do with location. Do you understand, people? Not once will you hear USYK say, oh, I don't want the fight to be in the UK. Not once will you hear Fury say, I don't want the fight to be in Saudi. What you will hear is, I want to be paid 40%, 60%. That's what the issue is with Frank Warren and USYK. And that's what the issue was with the Saudis. Yeah? And that's why USYK signed. The people I've got on the inside have told me the reason USYK signed his side of the Saudi deal was because he was happy to take 50%. Now at the time, if you remember a few weeks ago, Team Fury was saying, oh well, and that's the problem with Team Fury is they thought they was too sharp. Bob Arum, yeah, he thought he was too slick with it. And at that time, they was spouting the narrative, oh, you get what you negotiate. Each individual fighter is having their own deal with Saudi. They were doing all this thinking that meant something to the Saudis. Meanwhile, the Saudis already had in their mind, we're paying USYK X amount and we're paying USYK on a 50-50 basis. Because we, from the Saudis' point of view, we consider both to be champions. Now, don't get me wrong, the Saudis are going to pay through the teeth regardless. But the reason Fury hasn't signed is because he wants to be paid on, not on the basis of the figure being right. For example, Fury could be offered 100 million. That's not Fury's problem. Fury's beefing. He wants 50% more than USYK, which is a 40-60 split. Yeah? That's what Fury wants. So Fury really isn't interested in the amount of money. He wants to know, okay, if USYK's getting 100 million, I want 150. 60-40. That's why Fury didn't sign, and that's why USYK did sign. And what you'd also notice, when Team USYK have flown over to the UK today, which is Wednesday, they've put out a little statement, and their statement is, we're meeting with Team Fury, and we want the public to know we're not budging on the 50-50 split. And that tells you all you need to know, people. When you heard Frank Warren, in fact, let me replay it again one more time, because listen to the guy, it's unbelievable.
But you're going to have tomorrow, because if the Saudi evening, given that ultimately you're just waiting to be told whether you can fight in Saudi or backstopping in Wembley, aren't you?
No, there's a couple other things that,
conversation tomorrow evening, given that ultimately you're just waiting to be told whether you can fight in Saudi or backstopping in Wembley, aren't you?
No, there's a couple other things that, which I don't want to go into at the moment, Simon, because I need to sit down and do this face to face with him, so I don't want to
See that clown again, Simon? It's one thing to assume things. It's one thing to use close-ended questions, and if you actually know what you're talking about, but he don't even understand. That's the problem with people. He don't even know what he's talking about at all. He sounds so stupid. He's sitting there saying, oh, it's a simple case of just waiting to see. I'm not even sure what he's... in fact, I'm actually lost at what Simon Jordan's even waffling about, truth be known.
Given that ultimately you're between the two fighters of distribution. So it's, without being disrespectful, isn't it a slightly moot conversation? You've done your deal between the two fighters of distribution. So it's, without being disrespectful, isn't it a slightly pony up the money and the dates that you want to fight on, you're going to end up in Wembley. I'm assuming you've done your deal between the two fighters of distribution.
I'm assuming you've done your deal between the two fighters on distribution, i.e. the split. Simon, you're assuming wrong, you melon. Do you know what I mean? That's your problem. You're assuming all the wrong things because you're low IQ. Like, where did you get that from? Where did Simon Jordan ever get, in the last 4 months, that Fury and USYK have agreed to the split? Where did you hear that from? Where? In fact, the whole way through, Team Fury said back in December, if it's in the UK, it's 60-40. And even before that, as far as Saudi was concerned, Fury never said 50-50. What Team Fury thought they were doing, to be quite crafty, was saying each fighter's going to negotiate. That's not 50-50. Because if people are happy to do 50-50, they just say that. So we're happy to take 50-50. Yeah? Anything other than that, it means you ain't happy with 50-50. I.e., each fighter's going to negotiate separately. Why would you need to negotiate separately if you're getting 50-50? Exactly. You don't. Yeah? So Simon Jordan, I assume the distribution's settled. Based on what, Simon? When did you ever hear that? In fact, again, to the contrary, all we ever heard was there was a problem. We've never heard. Show me one piece of evidence, Simon Jordan, Mister. It's all the distributions are sorted out. Show me one piece of evidence that Tyson Fury ever said 50-50 was USYK. Show me it in the last few months. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure he's waffled a video 2 years ago saying he'll do it for free and do it for 40% and whatever else. But as far as the actual negotiation is concerned, I've never heard anything about Tyson Fury agreeing to 50%. In fact, everything's been the other way. Anywho, let's get back to the point.
End up in Wembley. I'm assuming you've done your deal between the two fighters of distribution. So it's, without being disrespectful, isn't it a slightly moot conversation tomorrow evening, given that ultimately you're just waiting to be told whether you can fight in Saudi or backstopping in Wembley, aren't you?
And what Simon Jordan's saying here, isn't it a mute meeting between Team Fury and USYK? Because at this point, we're just still waiting to see if they're fighting in Saudi or Wembley. That doesn't even make sense, people. Simon Jordan, do you understand? The fighters, they're the ones who choose where they go. They're not waiting for anything. The Saudis have given them an offer, and Wembley has an offer. There's no waiting for what? Do you know what I mean? Well, again, it's big business. My name's Simon Jordan. I'm big business. For someone who's such big business, since when do the fighters wait around for what? Waiting for what? I don't get that one. Someone explain to me, what would the fighters possibly be waiting for? They're the ones who choose where they go. Are you telling me in the last 3 months, the Saudis still haven't got an offer? That's what Simon Jordan's implying, yeah? That after 3 months, the Saudis still haven't put an offer out there. And that's what I've been trying to tell people. People, it takes a week to get an offer from somewhere. It's that simple. It takes a week. And what's happened over the last 3 months, not my opinion, but by the evidence, is that Team Fury have been trying to squeeze blood out of a stone. Yeah? How do we know this? Again, from Team Fury's own words, a few weeks ago at Yard versus Beterbiev. The Saudis need to pay up. It's a simple situation of put up or shut up and pay up, and the Saudis need to get the checkbook out. Yeah, if the Saudis pay up, then the fight will be done, and if they don't, it won't. Do you know what I mean? That's what they were saying. Bob Arum was lecturing us, boxers need to get the most money. All about the money. In fact, Bob Arum said, the Saudis need to show me the money. Meaning, clearly, at that point, USYK had already signed. Fury doesn't want the 50%. Hence, the Saudis need to show us the money. More than what we've been offered presently. It's not the Saudi, listen, Simon Jordan. The Saudi offer's already there. It's as simple as that. The Saudi offer is already on the table. It's been on the table. We know the Saudis. AJ's been operating with the Saudis. They get things done quick. What they don't do is bend to the whim of a random looking ass, you know what I mean, belly. As simple as that. That's what they don't do. That's where Team Fury went wrong. Team Fury thought they were going to pop in and make demands and get what they want, and it's turned out a big oops for them. The Saudis don't need Tyson Fury for nothing. The fights, yeah, they wouldn't mind having the fight, but for what it's worth, it's not going to make or break the Saudis, is it? That's what Fury missed here. Fury thought that he was, you know what I mean, indispensable. They can take it or leave it. Great, if we can have a big fight, great, but if not, so be it. What they're not going to have is be told what to do and where. And if anything, I'm not exactly sure about USYK's religion, but either way, we know the Saudis are Muslims. And again, I don't even know what USYK's situation is, but USYK himself said something about Ramadan. Now, Ramadan's, as far I'm not some religious guy, but from what I understand, Ramadan, is it a Muslim thing? I don't know, but anyway, the point is, by that logic, it follows the Saudis are going to be much more likely to want to be on USYK's side than Fury's side. So they were never really, on that basis, they were never going to be begging, desperate to do Fury favours over their Muslim or whatever brother. I'm not even sure. I think USYK's Christian, but I don't know, man. But anyway, get the point. Fury hasn't mentioned Ramadan. Team Music did. So, from that side of things, they're going to be on, or that in itself, not to mention the other things, but that it builds in. They ain't going to punk their mans off. They ain't going to punk their dude off for Fury. It's 50-50. And yes, Fury may be a bigger commercial name, but he's not a bigger commercial name in Saudi. He's not a bigger commercial name with one belt versus 3. So you can toss it up any way you want. Now, let's get to this final part. Like I was saying,
given that ultimately you're just waiting to be told whether you can fight in Saudi or backstopping in Wembley, aren't you?
No, there's a couple other things that which I don't want to go into at the moment, Simon, because I need to.
So Frank Warren then tells this guy, "No, Simon, Mr. Big Businessman, you're absolutely wrong. It's nothing to do with waiting for the Saudis to get back to us. They've been back to us for the last 3 months. Instead, and that's the thing, Frank Warren could have taken that bait. Oh yeah, we're just waiting for the Saudis to get back to us. But even Frank couldn't do that. That's how bad Simon Jordan is. Although Frank Warren did end up taking the next alley-oop when he mentioned it again. But still, Frank Warren made it clear. It's nothing to do with waiting for a Saudi offer. And then he eventually said, oh yeah, we're waiting for location. Made no sense. None of it makes any sense from actual information point of view. Makes no sense at all. Frank Warren took it to, you know what, if Simon Jordan don't want to do his job properly and actually interview me, I'll just take whatever he wants. Honestly, Simon Jordan could have said, oh, Frank Warren, so you're basically saying that it's a problem with the moon that's stopping the fight. And Frank Warren would have said, yeah, it's the moon. It's really, yeah, the moon's really getting in the way. Yeah, moody moon right now. That's what he would have. Anything he would have said. But the key is here. Frank Warren's clearly said, got a problem. We've got problems with USYK. We need to nail out. Simon Jordan then says, oh, it's not a big problem, is it? I mean, let's just listen to this. It's real shocking.
Sit down and do this face to face with him, so I don't want to compromise the negotiations tomorrow. But there's a few more hurdles to be for both sides to get over. But I mean,
they're not insurmountable hurdles, are they?
They're not. No, not at all. I don't believe so.
And the big scenario, the defining scenario, is location, isn't it? Rather than anything else, isn't it?
It's location. Yeah, that's the main.
Do you know what I mean? Like, where do they find these? More? No doubt he's getting paid $1 million a year. Where do they find these guys at? Frank Warren just sat down and told you we've got hurdles to get over. He shut down your BS advances about, oh, we're waiting for a Saudi offer. No, actually, Simon, we're not waiting for a Saudi offer, and we have hurdles to get over. Both teams do. That's how it was left. Simon Jordan, Frank Warren laid up Simon Jordan for some inquisitive questions. Oh, Frank Warren, you've just said there's significant hurdles in the way right now. Can you give us some of them? Oh, no, not Mr. 10 million IQ big business Simon Jordan. Oh, they're not big issues, are they, Frank? Who does that? On what planet was Frank Warren ever going to say, actually, yeah, they're huge issues, and let me tell you what they are? You know, your job isn't to assume. Your job isn't to tell us if they're big or not issues. Your job is to find out what they are and gauge from Frank Warren's answers how big they are. Your job's not to tell Frank about what's going. It's unbelievable. But again, you can tell this guy Simon Jordan, he's not high IQ. He's not a reporter. He's just a goofball. He's a goofball. Ain't got a clue what's going on. Bottom line. Obviously, somehow he's got some clout on his phone. That's what often in this social media age, they find dudes, yeah, with no IQ, a little bit of clout, and they just bung them on. Yeah, bung that guy. He's got a bit of a name. Bung him on. Just let him waffle. It's shocking. Really is shocking. I thought, honestly, I'd heard it all, but I wouldn't mind, yeah. And listen, you man know me. I'm the first one to jump on and have a go on Conor Benn, but the way this guy got on Eddie Hearn and Conor Benn and squeezed the life out of that topic, rightfully so, but might be, you know what I mean? Like, keep it consistent here. Let's not squeeze the life out of Conor Benn. And now you got not a similar situation, but this Fury and USYK thing's been dragging on for 4 months. And we're 4 months down the line and Simon Jordan hasn't mentioned it. Wait a minute, Frank. You told us months ago the fight was signed and nearly done. And now 4 months later, we're still at the same place. We're still at the same place it could be Wembley, could be Saudi. How can that happen? How is that possible? And the answer to that question is because Tyson Fury and Team Fury are trying to squeeze blood out of a stone. They want something the Saudis aren't willing to get. But what the problem is, you see, Team Fury also know, and that's why it's gone on so long, people. Because Team Fury also know the Saudis are the only game in town. Yeah? They know. Wait there a minute. What's that old saying? Cut my nose to spite my face or whatever. But essentially, that's what Team Fury are battling with right now. They're having to cut their nose to spite their face because they know if we do F the Saudis off, we go to Wembley, where we're going to make less anyway. Do you get what I'm saying? So right now, the Furies have a choice. We take 50-50 with the Saudis and get paid, say, 70 million. And we suck it up the fact that USYK's going to get paid the same. Or we go to Wembley and get paid 50 million anyway. Do you get what I mean? And that's why it's been dragged out so long. Because Team Fury don't want to go to Wembley. And they're doing everything they can to try and get that money to it so it's more in their favour. And the Saudis clearly ain't having it. It really is, people, as simple as that. That's what the problem is here. Fury wants more. Fury wants 60-40. Saudis won't give it to him. And rather than Fury could say, listen, I'm a man of principle. I want 60-40. F the Saudis off, we'll go to the UK. And even that's the problem as well. That's where Fury don't have nowhere to run to, because even if he goes to Wembley, that don't mean he gets 60-40. And that's why they're meeting this on Wednesday, people. Team Fury and Team USYK are meeting, and people talk about hurdles. The only hurdle is Team USYK, Team Fury want Team USYK to accept 60-40. And that's a key issue here. Because if USYK agrees to 60-40, they can then, Team Fury will then go back to the Saudis and tell them, look, USYK's agreed, and it will be fine. That is the only hurdle, people. There's no other hurdles. The only hurdle is USYK accepting 60-40. And that's the problem. Fury wants 60-40, even if it's in Saudi or if it's in Wembley. If he doesn't get 60-40, the fight's not happening. Now, it might end up being 55-45, but what I will say is, like I said earlier, Team USYK have already front-run this whole negotiation happening on Wednesday, this week. They've already come out and said publicly, listen, people, we want you to know we're only accepting 60-40. Sorry, we're only accepting 50-50. We have 3 belts. We're just as big as Fury. In fact, let me show you now, because there's always some clowns. YB, where did you see this? YB making it up. Let me show you cornballs where the information comes from. Here we go then. Where is it? Where is this corny sounding ass dude? Here we go. In fact, it was from Boxing Scene. It was a Boxing Scene article. So you can see here. Well, Frank Warren already told you they're meeting. Here we go. Alexander Usyk's promoter Alex Krasik is flying into the UK on Wednesday for crunch talks with Tyson Fury's team. He said he remains really optimistic. That's his waffle. Means nothing. Listen, if you need to be really optimistic about negotiations that are 4 months down the line, you know what I mean? What does that mean? Guess what? Guess what Showtime were telling us? In fact, guess what Terence Crawford was telling us? Both Terence Crawford and Errol Spence were telling us from May 2022 to November when the fight fell through that they was really confident. Call me a liar. I did videos on it. Every other week there'd be a video, Errol Spence saying, yeah, we're hopeful, yeah, we're nearly there, and guess what? It didn't happen, so forget about that. The only true data point of whether a fight's likely to happen or not is the amount of time between negotiations starting and them finishing. If that period, gets over a month or 2, it's a wrap for that fight not happening. Because clearly, listen, do you know how long 2 months is? That's 2 wage pays. Imagine, and people who have normal jobs, think about what you do on a day-to-day basis, yeah? You go into work, you work 9 hours, think how long them 9 working hours are. So now imagine you're stuck doing one thing for 4 months. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Imagine that. What could they possibly be doing for 9 hours a day for 4 months? And it's not their workload. They're not doing a whole load of work. It's clearly they've got... Listen, I'd bet money, and I know anyway, these guys will have been stuck on the core issues 3 months ago. Do you get what I mean? The problem of 60-40, that would have been the case 4 months ago. It's not work. It's not a case of, well, we need to work harder. It's something that they can't get over. Yeah? Frank Warren said it. We got hurdles to get over. Now, the question is, people, think a little deeper here. Do you think it's taken 4 months for these hurdles to pop up? Absolutely not. You don't get a deal done and there's some magic hurdles popped up. It's always the same hurdles. Not to mention, Team Fury said it himself. We want 60-40. We want money, 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 money. Yeah? Out of their own mouths. It's not rocket science here. These core things have been the core things. To split. Bottom line. Anyway. So yeah, this is USYK's promoter here. He's come to the UK for crunch talks with Fury's team. He said he remains really optimistic that a deal can be finalised for the undisputed fight. However, they are standing firm on their position of 50-50. Being a fair split. Now, why would they mention... Why is that... In fact, let me find out. Why would Team USYK even mention that? We're going to see Team Fury today. We're really optimistic, but people best know we're sticking to 50-50. That tells you that's the only thing they're talking about in there. There's nothing else to talk about. There isn't. I'm telling you now. Everything else is sorted. Fury wants 60-40. USYK ain't giving it to him. And that really is the start and the end of it. It's a shame, really. I've had to do another 30-minute video when Simon Jordan could have wrapped this up and pressed Frank on this at the time. Instead, he's talking about location. Oh, Frank, is it right that we're just waiting for the Saudis to get back to us? What the... You think it took the Saudis 4 months to get back to you? No, it's taken 4 months of Team Fury trying to squeeze blood out of a Saudi stone. And Fury has confirmed as much. Don't forget. Show me the money. Oh, it's a simple... Bob Arum said, it's a simple case of the Saudis need to show us the money. At which point, they'd already shown USYK the money. Yeah, USYK had already agreed. He was happy with his 50% split. And now, the conclusion of this information today, people, unfortunately, is that the fight is not going to happen. The only way this fight happens is if Fury agrees to 50-50 or if USYK agrees to 60-40. Now, if you think this fight is going to happen, that is what you're betting on. And I hate to say it, but again, look at the time. It's been 4 months. 4 months later, the question is, if Fury was prepared to go to 50-50, wouldn't he have done so already after 4 months? Yeah? If USYK was prepared to go to 60-40, wouldn't he have done so after 4 months? You know what I mean? It really is as simple as that. It's not rocket science here. That's what happens. If things are going to get done, they get done. It doesn't take 4 months. And that's why, again, it's 2023, people. In normal circumstances, people don't need to fly in to get deals done. Yeah? That don't need to happen. Now, Team Fury, or both sides, are obviously hoping, but mostly Team Fury are hoping, if we get him here and we just press him some more. But unfortunately, the fact that, I'm sorry, but in my professional advice, the fact that USYK, or Team USYK, have front run their meeting, and they've put it out publicly, we ain't moving from 50-50. Frank Warren saying, we've got some things to negotiate on, and I'm hoping, yeah, any hope of that has just been squashed. If Team USYK had any, and that's the thing, like I said, it shouldn't take a in-person meeting. It's 2023, and email is just as good. Yeah, if Team USYK had any intention of accepting 60-40, they would have done so in the last 4 months via email. You know what I'm saying? And really, especially in any real culture, but any places that have real culture, or who are cultured, face to face, or any man really, but any man with any level of integrity and respect, you're only going to be more solid in person. Do you understand? If you believe in 50-50, if you believe 50-50 is right for your client via email, There's no way Krasiuk's going to pull up in person and essentially break in front of Team Fury. That's the equivalent. Who's going to bet on that? And it works both ways. If Team Fury were prepared to accept 50-50, they'd have banged the email over. What man, face to face, is now going to roll over and say, actually, yeah, after 4 months of arguing, I'm going to break in front of you in a face to face meeting? Who does that? No one does that. No one does that. Not in this day and age. No way. Oh yeah, we've been going back and forth for 4 months about 60-40. Actually, now I'm in front of you. I've lost my back end's gone, and yeah, you're right. I'll roll over, and you can get off on me. Now, what I will say is, it might be possible that Team Fury say, okay, we've squeezed USYK to the last. He's not going to give in. Let's do 50-50. That's the only hope we have. I don't believe USYK can take this fight at 60-40. They've said as much, and in fact, the fact that Team USYK have put this out publicly before the meeting, why would you, if you had any intention, of agreeing to 60-40, why would you put it out publicly before the meeting? That makes you look like a complete sucker. Especially when, I'm going to show you, especially when USYK didn't even, or Team USYK didn't just put out there, we want 50-50 or no deal. He went out there and literally put the arguments out, which you're going to read now. This wasn't a throwaway statement, we're only accepting 50-50. I can't say anything particular because we're in the middle of negotiations, but I can say for sure, if it's a fair deal when it comes to the unification, which is the undisputed unification, where one fighter has 3 belts and the other has 1 belt, a 50-50 split sounds fair. It's more than fair than it should be. If TYSON accepts this fair condition, it means he's a real warrior and he really wants to fight, not just for money, but for heritage, for legacy, and for 4 belts in the biggest fight at the heavyweight stadium. Why not? End of April, beginning of May. Perfect timing. But it has to be fair. As long as I'm representing USYK, I will fight for fair conditions. Now, so a man who says them things, I'm representing USYK, I'm fighting for fair conditions, he doesn't say all this 24 hours before a big meeting if he has any intention of going in there and accepting 60-40. It just doesn't happen, people. It doesn't happen. Not in a million years. So, I'd bet money Team USYK ain't going to accept anything less than 50-50. If they were, they'd have kept their mouth shut right now, gone to the meeting and rolled over. And or would have been rolled over in the last 3 months. So, in my mind, Team USYK, they're solid. The only chance we have is of Team Fury getting to the point where they say, we really want this fight, we'll have to accept 50-50. Now, I'm literally 100% sure Team USYK aren't going to change. Now, I'm pretty sure Team Fury are going to be stubborn. But there is a chance there. I give it probably there's a 20 or 30% chance Fury will agree to 50-50. When he realises, or when they've met in person, or tomorrow in the next 24 hours, Frank Warren will pick the phone up and tell Tyson Fury, they're not moving. What do you want to do? Do you want this fight for 50-50? That's what I'm getting at. That conversation is where we're going to be 24 hours from now. And I give that a 20 or 30% chance. Tyson could wake up on a certain side of the bed and say, you know what, let's just do it. Or he'll be stubborn. Which, based on the information we've seen, people, i.e. it's 4 months later, the information implies that we have today that Fury is going to continue being stubborn. Yeah, if Fury wanted to accept 50-50, he could have done so at any point in the last 3 or 4 months. However, you could argue, well, this is the final crunch time. Now is the final crunch time. So what I will say is, there's a very small chance Fury does break. But if it's going to happen, it will happen now. And that's what I'm saying. We'll know if this fight's happening in the next week. My bets, it doesn't happen. I don't know why it doesn't happen. Because thinking about, financially speaking, there's no bigger fight. Well, I don't know. Maybe there is. I don't know. Where else? Where's Fury? Or USYK's got more of a. Where does USYK go? That is one thing that could. But then again, yeah. USYK's got nowhere to go, truth be known. USYK's going to end up fighting for peanuts against a bum, but in terms of morals, I'm more confident he's prepared to do that on principle. Is Team USYK prepared to throw away a $100 million fight for a $10 million fight? I think they probably are. Team Fury's in a bit of a different situation. Why? He can make 20-30 mil, which might not be the 100 mil, but still. Fury could fight Chisora 3 times in a year, for example, and make 100 mil, taking no risk. So Team Fury in a stronger position. And that's probably why they're trying to push it so much. But nonetheless, push or not, it hasn't resulted in a squat. And my bets are the fight is not happening. It's been cancelled. Fury, he don't want it. How I will finish this is, I will say, if Fury got 60-40, I think he would take the fight. But all that talk about being a bare knuckle man, whatever else, clearly he ain't bare knuckle. Clearly he ain't real. He want more money, bottom line. He feel like he a premier guy. He feel, what's the word? He feel like a rare dude. Like he a shiny. Yeah, TYSON Fury think he's a Pokemon shiny dude. Ooh, I'm trying to shine 100%. He a cornball. All the time. You mind you, but it's not like, well, YB, they're fighting for peanuts. This guy gonna get, we're talking about whether you get paid 100 mil, or let's call it 50 mil, or 75. That's literally the discussion, people. Fury's mad because he only gets paid the same as the next man. Both men are making 50 mil. Imagine being in that situation. I'm throwing my toys out the pram because I want 75 and not 50. It's wild. But maybe it's just a negotiation tactic and Fury is eventually going to give in. 4 months says otherwise. Let's see how it plays out. The fight's off. The fight's cancelled. No doubt about it.